Hello, everyone. We are the Pacific One group. Our presentation today is going to be about our study in increasing physical activity through self-monitoring, goal setting, and feedback. Our group members are Ashley Ramos, Catherine Hill, Huyen Bui, and Ravi Tadipu.
Hi, my name is Ashley Ramos. I have been in the field of ABA for 3 years. I am from San Jose, California, and I am currently a program supervisor assistant in an ABA company, and this is my 3rd semester here at Ball State University.
I'm Catherine. I'm an ABA therapist in Anaheim, California. I have 3.5 years of experience in the ABA field, and I'm working to become a BCBA specializing in pediatric feeding disorders. And this is my 3rd semester at Ball State.
Hi, I'm Huyen. I am from San Jose, California. I have been working in the field of ABA for 2 years now. I'm working as an RBT. This is my 3rd semester at Ball State. Oh, this is my 4th semester at Ball State, and I will be graduating next semester.
Hi, my name is Ravi, and I've been in the field of ABA for 3.5 years. This is my 3rd semester at Ball State, and I'm also graduating next semester. I currently work as a program supervisor at an ABA company in Fremont, California.
So today we're going to be talking about our original study, which is by Norman. Norman evaluated the effects of self-monitoring, goal setting, and feedback on the number of steps taken per day. The participants for the study were recruited via flyer posted in the community. 4 healthy, non-obese adults, 3 males and 1 female, participated in the study. Each individual reported in exercising on a regular or semi-regular basis and a desire to increase their daily activity level. Norman defined a step as any activity that resulted in a count being recorded on the New Lifestyles 2000 pedometer. Participants wore a pedometer sealed with an opaque tape in order to ensure the participants would not receive formal activity feedback during the baseline phase of the study. The experimenter met with each participant at the end of the week and recorded his or her daily totals by removing the tape and using the 7-day memory feature. Each participant was given a daily goal of the average number of steps to take per day according to their previous performance in the treatment phase. Calculating the average number of steps taken per day in the previous week and slightly increasing that number established the goals. The study used a permanent product recording system in the form of a calculation of the number of steps taken per day. The intervention utilized a multiple baseline across participants design with an ABA reversal design used for each participant. Each participant had to meet his or her daily goal on at least 4 days in the week to achieve success and receive a new daily step goal for the following week. During intervention phase, participants wore unmasked pedometers and reported their daily steps totals once a day to the experimenter via email. The experimenter provided a brief response to praise goal achievements or encouraged the participants to meet their goal the following day. The participants also received verbal feedback from the experimenter at the end of every week. After the study was completed, the participants received a social validity survey to access the usefulness of self-monitoring, feedback, and weekly meetings on increasing daily physical activity. The results of this study showed an increase in the amount of steps taken each day for all participants who completed the intervention. 1 participant left the study after the first intervention phase and did not complete the entire study. To strengthen the findings, the participants' daily numbers of steps decreased when the intervention was withdrawn. Data collected indicated a repeated increase when intervention was introduced. The results suggest that self-monitoring, goal setting, and feedback can be used to increase daily activity level. Although participants increased their daily number of steps, it is unclear how changes in daily physical activity directly impacted their healthy lifestyles.
Similar to Norman's study, we found many other studies that question the effects of using activity trackers to increase physical activity. In 2016, Harris et al. Conducted a randomized control study in order to determine the effectiveness of the use of smartphone applications on increasing physical activity amongst male adults. The study tested out the use of social feedback to achieve a greater number of steps taken throughout the day. The team predicted that the participants who received feedback only on their own progress would have a higher step count than individuals who did not receive any feedback at all. They had 165 adult males between the age of 18 and 40 receive a phone that included a pedometer application that tracked their daily steps. The results showed that those who received social feedback generated higher step counts than those who did not receive any feedback. The study indicated that smartphone applications designed to track physical activity can help to improve daily step count. Adams et al. Conducted an interesting factorial study comparing the effects of adaptive versus static goal settings and immediate versus delayed feedback with the use of non-contingent financial rewards in individual performances. Their goal was to increase step count overall. They had 94 participants, both male and female, with female being 77% of the study, aged with the mean of 41 years old. Each participant demonstrated an increase of steps by 2,389 during the intervention. The participants who received a static goal showed a greater increase in steps per day than those who received adaptive goals. Additionally, people who received immediate rewards showed a greater increase in step count than those who did not. Michael Zarate in 2017 conducted a multiple baseline across participants aimed to increase daily running distance. Each participant received a Fitbit Flex, which they wore the entire day. 4 adults between the ages of 21 to 24 years old participated in the study. They tested the effects of goal setting with textual feedback and without the use of social support to increase physical activity. The participants showed an increase in physical activity, and they showed a significant increase in weekly running distance for 2 out of 4 participants following the intervention.
The purpose of conducting the study was to replicate the study conducted in 2008 by Norman. We aim to increase physical activity level through the use of self-monitoring, goal setting, and feedback.
For participants were involved in the study: Huynh, Catherine, Apley, and Ravi. Every participant attended Ball State. Participants ranged from the age of 24 to 27 years old. All the participants expressed a desire to increase their daily activity level. Apley is a 24-year-old female. Huynh is a 27-year-old female. Catherine is a 25-year-old female, and Ravi is a 25-year-old male. All of the participants worked full-time and went to school full-time during the study, and the study took place in the state of California. Each participant wore their Fitbits for 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. The Fitbit is an electronic wearable activity device. It has the ability to track steps, distance, physical activity, kilocalories, and sleep. According to Evanson, Gatto, and Fergum in 2015, 3.3 million fitness trackers were sold between March 2013 and April 2014. 67% of those were Fitbits. In a laboratory-based study, they found that there was a 0.80% correlation with the amount of steps taken on the Fitbit. The materials used in this study were influenced by those utilized in the 2008 study conducted by Norman. In the study conducted by Norman, participants used a new Lifestyle 2000 pedometer. For the purpose of our study, the Fitbit devices and the Fitbit iOS application will be used to track daily steps. Participants wore their Fitbit device for an 8-hour period, and a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet was used to record the daily number of steps taken. A validity survey was also created to replicate the one used in the previous study.
Behavioral definition. A step is operationally defined as any movement that results in a count being recorded and displayed on the pedometer, in our case a Fitbit. Example would be walking, jumping, and running. A non-example would be bike riding or swimming. The intervention was introduced according to a multiple baseline across participant design. In addition, there was an ABA reversal design for each participant. A permanent product system was used to record the total number of steps taken during the 8-hour period for each participant. Each participant recorded the number of steps they took during the 8-hour period, during which the Fitbit device was worn daily on a Microsoft Excel worksheet available to all group members via Google Docs. In the Google Doc, participants were also able to graph their progress and calculate average to determine goal. Each participant's performance was discussed in the weekly meeting via Google Hangouts.
This is an example of the sample of the data sheet that we used. We calculated everything by days. In our baseline, everyone were to enter their baseline, and then we would calculate the average goals and move into the intervention phase. Once we hit intervention, everyone was in charge of putting in their own data, and then we would move into baseline again. Each of the information was entered weekly or daily depending on the participant, as long as we got the total number by Sunday night.
Baseline phase. In the 2008 study conducted by Norman, the pedometers used by participants were covered with an opaque tape to prevent them from monitoring their progress throughout the day. The participants in the current study wore a Fitbit device that did not display the current progress. When the participants put on their Fitbit device in the morning, they set an 8-hour timer to track how long steps would be tracked. At the end of the 8-hour period, they took a screenshot on their phone of their Fitbit activity during that period of time. The results listed in the screenshot were later recorded to a data sheet on the group's shared Microsoft Excel document. The length of the initial baseline phase varied per individual. After the individual completed their predetermined number of days in the baseline condition, participants transitioned to an intervention phase. Participants returned to the baseline condition after completing 5 days of treatment. Their return to baseline was predetermined as well.
All right. The intervention phase consisted of goal setting, self-monitoring, and feedback. Individual step goals were established by calculating the average number of steps per week. After calculating the average for each participant, the research team obtained a new goal by increasing 10% from the baseline. The same calculation was done after the researchers returned to baseline. The goal increased by 10% regardless if the participant met the goal or not. Feedback was given daily and weekly. Daily feedback was given via text message from the information on the spreadsheet. The participants gave appropriate feedback. For example, if the participant met their step count that day, the other participants praised their goal attainment. For example, awesome job, keep on going. If the goal was not met, participants sent encouraging messages to meet their goal for the next day. For example, you are so close, you can do it. The weekly feedback includes vocal verbal and graphic feedback in a video conference. Vocal verbal feedback included commenting on the trend of step counts. The graphic feedback included a time series graph that showed a visual representation of everyone's progress.
At the end of the study, all participants completed a social validity survey. The survey was designed to assess whether the participants found the intervention useful and if they're satisfied with their own performance. All participants reported that they found all parts of the intervention useful and that they were satisfied with their own performance. The questions on the survey were, I believe the monitoring the number of steps I took each day helped to increase my physical activity level. I believe that feedback helped increase my physical activity level. I believe that weekly meetings helped to increase my overall performance each day, and I am satisfied with my performance overall. The statements were rated on a 5-point Likert scale, and everyone agreed that this intervention was useful.
Treatment fidelity in IOA. Intra-observer agreement was calculated at the end of each week by dividing the number of instances of agreement by the total number of days in that week. Overall, IOA was 100% across participants for the entire duration of the study. In order to maintain treatment fidelity, participants broke into pairs. They sent each other a screenshot of their daily steps and verified that the correct number of steps were recorded on the spreadsheet.
Daily step totals increased following the introduction of the self-monitoring and feedback intervention for 3 of the 4 participants. When intervention was absent in both baseline phases, there was a decrease in step count. Similar to the first treatment phase, only 3 participants increased their step count. Okay, so the table that you see on the screen depicts the average and the range for both baseline and treatment phases. So Athley's baseline average was 6,218. Catherine's was 2,156.2. Quinn's was 4,608.8. And Ravi's was 6,663.5. Athley's range for baseline 1 was 5,194 to 6,895. Catherine's was 700 to 3,425. Quinn's range for baseline 1 was 2,681 to 6,096. Ravi's baseline range was 3,427 to 9,359. Athley's treatment 1 average was 7,220.4. Catherine's 3,616.6. Quinn's 9,341.8. And Ravi's treatment 1 average was 4,853.2. Treatment 1 range for Athley was 6,382 to 8,012. Catherine's treatment 1 range was 2,512 to 5,998. Quinn's treatment 1 range was 3,375 to 16,369. Ravi's treatment 1 range was 1,216 to 10,095. When returning to baseline again, Athley's average baseline was 3,150, Catherine's was 1,945, Quinn's was 4,824.8, and Ravi's was 3,782.6. The range for Athley's baseline 2 was between 1,456 to 4,421. Catherine's was 1,063 to 2,822. Quinn's range for baseline 2 is 4,000 to 6,326, and Ravi's was 2,783 to 5,895. Finally, when returning back to treatment, Athley's average was 5,232, Catherine's was 3,158.4, Quinn's was 5,165.25, and Ravi's was 7,493. Treatment 2 range for Athley was 4,488 to 7,402. Catherine's was 2,746 to 3,711. Quinn's range for treatment 2 was 4,018 to 7,040. And finally, Ravi's treatment 2 range was 5,178 to 11,130. Now we're going to look at some of a visual representation of our results. So the graph is divided using a multiple baseline graph that across all phases. So baseline, treatment 1, return to baseline, and treatment 2. So from the data, Quinn increased her step count during the intervention. She surpassed her individual goal by 57%. During the return to baseline, where feedback was not given, there was a decrease in physical activity. Once the treatment began again for Huynh met her daily goal 2 out of 5 days. Ravi only met his goal 1 out of 5 days during the initial treatment. Like Huynh, there was a decrease in physical activity during the return to baseline. Ravi met his goal when returning back to treatment and surpassed his individual goal by 55%, as well as meeting his daily step count. Catherine's step count was lower than all participants, but she consistently met her daily goal every day during the intervention. She also had lower rates of physical activity when the intervention wasn't in place. Similar to Catherine, Athley met her daily step count during intervention. Every participant in the study had lower rates of step count when the intervention wasn't in place.
To summarize, our results suggest the use of goal setting, self-monitoring, and feedback may not be a successful way to increase personal physical activity level. Only 2 of the 4 participants showed an increase in physical activity during both treatment phases, while all participants had a lower step count during the baseline phases when intervention was not implemented. Results may have been enhanced if another method of goal selection had been used. The study increased the baseline average by 10% to determine the treatment phase goal for each individual. A greater treatment effect might have been observed if a smaller rate of increase had been utilized. Use of a reinforcement system along with the intervention may have enhanced results as well. There were many limitations present during the study. Participants only wore the Fitbit device for an 8-hour period and for 5 out of 7 days of the week. None of these times were standardized across or within participants. In addition to general limitations, personal limitations were present as well. Catherine was sick during most of the study and had a lower rate of physical activity. Huynh and Ravi's baselines were not an accurate representation of their daily lives, and Athley mainly wore her Fitbit during work hours and did not have much activity at work.
Reflection. I believe the intervention was effective for me. The feedback in the weekly meetings motivated me to increase my daily steps so I could talk about my improvements during the meeting.
I found the intervention to be effective. I found the goal monitoring, like being able to see the steps during the day, was helpful to see how many more steps I needed during the day to meet the goal. And I found the feedback from my partner and from the group members during the weekly meeting was helpful as well.
I found that the intervention was a little difficult to calculate because I did go to Disneyland and California Adventures and Universal on a couple of days when I was in treatment, so my results were pretty high. And then my overall activity throughout the week just kind of tapered. So it was a little difficult for me.
I found the intervention a little helpful, but not completely satisfied. Similar to Huynh, I also attended several events, which includes football games, and I felt like the feedback and the visuals was not motivating enough for me. So definitely like a stronger, maybe like a reinforcer in place would have probably increased my step counts. And thank you for your time.